Hi, we are the
Chimney!
And in this video, we'll be sharing with our topic question on economic impact of Singapore government's policies against cigarette consumption. Okay. Cigarettes have wide-ranging effects on almost every aspect of life. For example, health, environment, and the economic problems. Cigarette also causes life-threatening health problems. So, we wonder why governments around the world do not just ban the production and consumption of cigarettes. It is because it might seem like the easiest and fastest way to curb the negative impact. But this issue actually implicates many big parties, especially our economy. But firstly,
Did you know
that tobacco kills 5.4 million people a year, which is around 1.6 people dying every 6 seconds? Also, narrowing down to our own country, 7 Singaporeans die prematurely from smoking-related diseases each day. And the social cost of smoking ranges from 673 million to 838 million in 1997. Also, 15 billion cigarettes are sold daily, which is around 10 million cigarettes every minute. For this topic, we will be using the demand and supply theory to help us in understanding the effects. Demand is defined as the amount of goods consumers desire, are willing and able to buy in a given period of time at a given price, ceteris paribus. And supply of a good refers to the amount of goods producers are willing and able to sell in a given period of time at a given price, ceteris paribus. With the background knowledge, we will now move on to our first policy that the government has implemented, which is tax on tobacco products. The policy that government has implemented was started since 1972, where tobacco duties were increased to raise cigarette prices. Before, cigarettes were taxed by weight. But with effect from July 2003, cigarettes are taxed by sticks. Now, let us move on to the demand and supply curve. So this is the demand and supply curve for our first policy. When the price moves up, there is a movement along the demand curve such that the quantity demanded decreases. But for some, because cigarettes are a necessity, the demand curve is inelastic. Hence, the increase in price will only result in a small change in the quantity demanded. From our demand curve, it shows that the policy has a negative impact on the Singapore economy, as people are spending less, thus it does not bring money to the economy. However, to some people, cigarettes are a necessity. Therefore, even when the price for cigarettes rises, they will still have to buy the same amount as they would before, regardless of the price change. Hence, the demand for cigarettes will not be as greatly affected by the change of price, and there would not be any major economic impact. And this can be shown by our inelastic demand curve. Moving on to another policy that the government implemented to reduce cigarette consumption is to ban certain areas from smoking. The Smoking Prohibition on Smoking in Certain Areas Act was first enacted in 1970 to prohibit smoking in public areas. The act has been extended progressively to include all public transport, air-conditioned indoor workplaces, and restaurants, hospitals, as well as educational facilities, pubs, and bars. Because of this policy, smokers will have less places to smoke, thus their cigarette consumption would be more likely to decrease as the frequency of smoking decreases. Moving on to the demand curve, when there is a fall in demand with supply unchanged, the demand curve shifts leftwards, which creates a surplus. However, since the price of cigarettes is fixed, there will not be a new equilibrium price. There, however, will be a drop in quantity consumed by the people. The policy might also lead to them being able to kick the smoking habit. The policy reduces the demand for cigarettes, which hurts the economy as people are spending less. Overall, the health of the people would be much better as people are less exposed to second-hand smoke, improving the general health of Singaporeans. Thus, this indirectly improves the Singapore economy as Singaporeans can be more productive when they are healthy. Overall, this has a positive impact on the country, though it might affect the economy in a negative way slightly. Next is the government policy on the legal smoking age. In 1989, the Tobacco Regulation Unit was established to carry out the Tobacco Act, which main aim is to reduce the extent of smoking in Singaporeans. The policy controls a number of aspects, such as the prohibition of smoking under 18, sale of cigarettes under 18. By setting a minimum age for legal purchase of cigarettes, the Singapore government is able to successfully reduce sales of cigarettes to minors. The impact of implementing this act on the economy is not very large on the economy as a whole. Instead, there is a larger impact on the health and well-being of citizens compared to the economy. The next policy we will be discussing on is the ban of tobacco advertisement. In 1970, the prohibition of advertisements relating to Smoking Act caused the ban of tobacco advertisements on radio, television, and neon signs to take effect after 31st December 1970. On March 1st, 1971, under the same act, tobacco advertising on newspapers and magazines were also completely banned. Thus, the sale of cigarettes decreased. By putting a stop to cigarette advertising, the advertisement industry in the country will suffer much more economically than the rest of the economy will, as they have one less means of earning money. With the ban of advertisement, people who haven't previously picked up smoking might be less exposed to cigarettes, and hence, there is a possibility of them not smoking. However, this policy might not be effective to those who are already smoking because smoking is habitual and cigarettes are a necessity to these smokers. Next is Policy 5, which is graphic health warnings on cigarette packs. Only 15 countries have the mandatory graphic health warnings on cigarette packs, and Singapore is one of them. Tobacco products sold in Singapore have carried 6 coloured graphics depicting harmful effects of smoking since August 2004. And under the Smoking Act, the graphic health warnings are rotational and must cover 50% of the surface of the cigarette box. This is a sample of the pictures that are pasted on the cigarette box. Because of this policy, the general economic impact would be that the demand for cigarettes would decrease, especially for new smokers. Every time they see the cigarette pack, they would
Think twice.
about the consequences of smoking before they light up. However, for habitual smokers, cigarettes are a necessity and it is quite unlikely for them to quit just because of these warnings. Hence, they would continue to purchase cigarettes, but they may smoke fewer cigarettes or try to abstain from it. Thus, I believe the economy would be better. So in conclusion, we learned that the issue of reducing cigarette consumption requires the cooperation of many parties. Also, these policies might not be easy to carry out, and even so, it might not be successful. Ultimately, there are still industries that depend on cigarette consumption to function. Hence, they must be taken into consideration before implementing any policy.
Thank you.